Part 2, Chapter 19. The person who rolled into the room and greeted Brett was not the one who had rolled out earlier that day. She was a total mess, her face covered with what looked like tear tracks, her hair bunching out in all directions. Nothing unusual about those. It was the ear-to-ear smile on Lisa's face that clearly astonished her. "Okay, who stole my roomie and replaced her with you?" Brett asked. Lisa's grin became, if possible, even wider. She guided her wheelchair into the bathroom and ran warm water over a face cloth, emerging a few moments later with her hair combed and face freshly washed. She gasped as she bent toward her locker, but hummed as she rummaged through it, pulling out various articles of clothing and looking them over. "I thought you had a physio this afternoon," Lisa said brightly as she sorted through her things. "I did. I went and came back while you were gone." Lisa replied. "Like I said," Brett repeated, "I went and came back while you were gone." "I heard you." "And then I was here while you were gone," Brett said slowly as if giving dictation. A slipper sailed across the room and bounced harmlessly off the locker above Lisa's head. She turned. "Something you want, Brett?" "Only every last detail." "So, sounds like you had an interesting afternoon," her mother said. Even over the telephone, her voice revealed her pleasure at the obvious improvement in her daughter's spirits. Dressed for bed, Lisa leaned back against the pillow, barely aware that the morphine injection Carly had given her was somewhat weaker in strength than her last. "Yeah," she said, "I did." "I'm glad. This Reeve sounds like a nice person." "He is," Lisa said. "I can't believe how long we talked. Losing his grandmother like that," Diane offered. "He knows how you feel, knows what you went through with Ellen." "What we all went through," Lisa said softly. The silence on the other end of the line spoke louder than any words her mother might have said. Lisa heard a sound, knew her mother was swallowing, forcing back the tears that were just beneath the surface of any moment. She waited. Her mother cleared her throat, then continued. "So, Lisa, why is this brief volunteering at the rehab?" "He didn't say. Because he wants to, I guess. Maybe because of his grandmother. Why else would anyone spend time in this place if they didn't have to?" "Got a point there, honey. Speaking of spending time there, sorry I can't make it tonight. I think I'm in over my head with this office I'm doing." Lisa smiled. Whenever her mother said she was in over her head about a decorating job, Lisa knew she was having a great time. It had everything to do with a challenge and her mother's type A personality. If a job went smoothly, chances were her mother was bored. The more overwhelming a job was, the more passionate she became in exploring options, experimenting with different solutions, discarding everything and returning to the drawing board yet again. Her mother was having fun. And it was about time. Lisa knew the situation at home was not good. Although Diane had never mentioned it, Lisa knew things hadn't been great lately between her mother and Jack. Part of the reason Lisa knew this had nothing to do with how carefully her mother avoided talking about him. Lisa liked Jack, and so had her sister. He was, after all, the only father they had known in the last 9 years, except for birthday and Christmas cards containing checks. Always the same amount. They almost never heard from their real father. He had a new family. 3 sons, 2 of them twins. But liking Jack and understanding him were 2 different things. Lisa knew that Ellen's illness had put considerable strain on her mother's and Jack's marriage, and she couldn't ignore the fact that her car accident and hospitalization had caused even more stress between them. Jack Morrison feared illness. His obsession with health and fitness grew out of a childhood filled with illnesses of his own, besides the usual things like chickenpox, measles, and mumps. Jack had developed diabetes and renal disease, and doctors had had to remove one of his kidneys when he was 19. What followed was an almost manic preoccupation with diet and exercise, and when their mother met and fell in love with him 2 years after her divorce, she had no idea that this tall, powerfully built man who worked out at the gym twice a week, quavered at the sound of a cough, left the room when someone sneezed, and paled even at the thought of entering a hospital. Despite this idiosyncrasy, he'd been a good parent, caring and thoughtful, But the last year had taken its toll on the in sickness and health part of his marriage vows. Suddenly, things were clearer to Lisa than they'd been in a long time. "I'm glad you can make it tonight," she said. "What? You're here too much anyway." "Lisa, honey." "No, I mean it." Lisa took a deep breath, plunged ahead. "You're here all the time. You need to focus on that job you're doing. And Jack, too. When's the last time the two of you went out to a dinner or to see a movie?" "Sweetheart, there's plenty of time for that. Once you get out of rehab, look, I'll be here for at least 2 more months. Probably longer." "Are you going to put everything on hold until then?" "You're my daughter, Lisa. I don't mind." "But I do. You need your life back. So does Jack." She paused. "And so do I." She could hear her mother's sudden intake of breath. "What's that supposed to mean, when I have ever done anything but try to help you?" It was Lisa's turn to swallow hard. "I know, but I think it's now time I tried to help myself." There was a long moment when neither of them said anything. Then, "You can't keep me from visiting you, you know." Lisa smiled at the hint of compliance that had crept into her mother's voice. "I'm not trying to. I think I just need to see a bit less of you." There was another silence, this one shorter than before. "Well, can I still call you?" Lisa looked at the phone, imagined her mother on the other end of the line, saw her as someone much younger, a child asking permission of an adult. "Of course you can call me, anytime, and you can visit too. Just not for a while, okay?" She heard a sigh. "Okay. Then, I love you, Lisa." "I love you too, Mom." Lisa yawned, suddenly very tired. "I'll talk to you tomorrow. Say hi to Jack for me, okay?" "I will, dear." But her mother didn't hang up. "Lisa?" "Yes, Mom." "This Reef person, did he have anything to do with this?" The question surprised her, made her think. Not directly, no. But indirectly? Lisa's mind went back to the afternoon in the lounge, the stories Reef and she had shared. "He had made me remember something I've forgotten." "What was that?" "That I can be strong too." "Honey, you don't need a stranger to show you that." Lisa looked up at the sprinkler and smiled. "I think maybe I did."